We sent senior American government officials to Nigeria because this is no longer just about one man. It's about how a major African nation manages a deep political grievance tied to identity, history, and self-determination. Our officials met with President Bola Tinubu, engaged with Justice Omotosho, and visited Nnamdi Kanu to understand the legal process and the broader implications of the Biafra agitation. Nigeria is a strategic partner of the United States, and stability matters. When separatist tensions remain unresolved and dialogue is replaced by prolonged detention, the risk grows not just domestically, but regionally. America's position is simple: lawful process, open dialogue, and solutions that reduce tension rather than harden divisions. Leadership means confronting difficult issues directly, before silence turns them into something far more dangerous.
Welcome to Africa Rise, where we share many important updates. Kindly watch the full video and tell us where you are watching from in the comment section below.
In our previous video, we shared updates about reports of high-level discussions involving global leaders and Nigeria. Today, we are connecting the dots. Because what is happening around the Nnamdi Kanu case is no longer just a Nigerian court matter. It has become a diplomatic, political, and strategic issue. According to emerging reports and diplomatic analysis, senior American government officials recently traveled to Nigeria, not quietly for tourism, not for ceremony, but to engage, to listen, to understand, and that alone should make people pause. Because the United States does not send senior officials into another country's legal terrain without a reason, especially not into a case tied to separatism, identity, and historical grievance. These officials reportedly met with President Bola Tinubu, they engaged with Justice Omotosho, and they sought direct insight into the situation of Nnamdi Kanu himself, not to campaign, not to protest, but to assess. This is where many people misunderstand the moment. America is not endorsing Biafra. America is not declaring support for IPOB. And America is not rewriting Nigeria's sovereignty. What America is doing, according to analysts, is asking a different kind of question. How does a major African nation manage a deep political grievance tied to identity, history, and self-determination in a way that preserves long-term stability? Because the Biafra issue did not start with Nnamdi Kanu. It started decades ago. It survived a war. It survived silence. And it resurfaced in a new generation. Nnamdi Kanu did not invent the grievance. He became its symbol. And when a political issue becomes symbolic, detaining the symbol does not automatically end the movement. Sometimes it changes its shape. Nigeria today is a strategic partner of the United States, economically, militarily, diplomatically. Stability in Nigeria affects West Africa, and instability in Nigeria does not remain local for long. That is why prolonged political detention without visible resolution creates concern, not because of sympathy, but because of consequence. When dialogue is delayed, pressure grows. When legal processes stretch endlessly, perception changes. And when silence replaces communication, narratives harden. This is not about emotion. It is about risk management. From a strategic perspective, unresolved separatist tensions are unpredictable. They don't always explode loudly. Sometimes they fracture quietly. And fractured movements are harder to control than centralized ones. This is something African history has taught repeatedly, from Sudan to Ethiopia, from Mali to Cameroon, from past Nigeria to present Nigeria. According to diplomatic observers, the American position is not radical, it is cautious. Lawful process, open dialogue, and solutions that reduce tension instead of deepening division. That sounds simple, but in practice, it is difficult, because every option carries political cost. Releasing Kanu carries uncertainty. Keeping him detained fuels grievance, and delaying indefinitely increases international scrutiny. That is the triangle Nigeria is navigating. Justice Omotosho's role within this context becomes more than legal. It becomes symbolic of whether institutions are seen as moving forward or standing still. President Tinubu's role becomes more than executive. It becomes historical. This is why global actors are watching closely, not to interfere, but to observe how Africa's most populous nation resolves one of its most sensitive internal questions. And here is the controversial truth many avoid saying openly. The longer the Biafra issue is framed only as a security problem, the harder it becomes to solve politically. Security can suppress symptoms. It cannot erase memory. The American engagement, as analyzed by experts, suggests a belief that unresolved identity-based grievances cannot be managed forever through detention alone, especially in an age of global media, diaspora influence, and international legal awareness. This does not mean the United States is dictating outcomes. It means it is encouraging clarity. Because uncertainty breeds instability, and instability discourages investment, and instability spreads. For Biafrans watching this, the takeaway is not celebration, it is awareness. Nothing has changed overnight. No announcement has been made. No decision has been revealed. But attention has shifted. The conversation has moved from ignore and contain to understand and manage. That shift matters. Because history shows that when political issues move from domestic silence to international observation, outcomes eventually follow, slowly, carefully, sometimes quietly. Africa Rise is not here to amplify emotion. We are here to interpret signals. And the signal right now is this. The Nnamdi Kanu case is no longer invisible. The Biafra question is no longer dismissed as fringe. And Nigeria's handling of both is being watched as a test of institutional strength. Leadership, as the saying goes, is not about avoiding difficult conversations. It is about confronting them before silence turns them into something far more dangerous. This moment does not guarantee resolution, but it opens space for possibility. And in politics, space is everything. Africa Rise will continue to follow this story with responsibility, balance, and clarity. No hype, no fear, no propaganda. Just understanding. If this analysis helped you see the bigger picture, like the video, subscribe to Africa Rise, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Africa is thinking, the world is watching, and history, as always, is paying attention. I'll see you in the next one.